Welcome everyone to another post-playthrough thoughts and review video. Today's video will be a little different, since I'll be looking at not one, but two games in the same series. Today I'll be taking you guys through my thoughts on the story mode of both Super Smash Bros. Brawl and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, comparing the two adventures a bit along the way. Be warned though, I'm not keeping this particular video nearly as spoiler-free as my others. With that being said, let's dive right into my thoughts on the Subspace Emissary and on World of Light. Super Smash Bros. Is one of my all-time favorite series, responsible for countless hours of fun and a crucial stepping stone in my development as a person. One of my earliest gaming memories was of traveling up north at around 4 years old to visit my cousins and booting up some 4-player melee, items on, always on temple, and with me playing Pichu 90% of my matches. I came in last. In elementary school, a few years after its release, I picked up Super Smash Bros. Brawl and played it quite a bit against computers, since I didn't have that many friends over to play party games along those lines in my childhood. I distinctly remember scaling the ice level in the Great Maze all those years ago, just having the time of my life with Smash. The year was 2014, 6 months or so out from Smash 4's release, and a spark ignites within me. I get very excited about Smash. I started playing Brawl almost every day, again, just 4-player free-for-alls with items on against computers, sometimes swapping it out for my own copy of Melee, which I bought about 4 months before Smash 4. For the first time ever, I got really into Smash Bros. And now that I wasn't a young child, I could actually figure out how to play the game properly instead of just spamming specials. That's when I finally found the one character I clicked with, and it wasn't Snake, my original main. I very quickly fell in love with Ike, a character I'd never really tried back in my youth. From that day on, I was an Ike main. I get my hands eventually on the Smash 3DS demo, and I put about 30 hours into it, fighting my friends on the school bus. I pre-ordered both the 3DS and Wii U versions of the game, my first ever pre-orders. The hype train was going full force, and when the game finally came out, I couldn't stop playing. After a few months, I finally transitioned into a competitive rule set, and I got pretty good at the game. Smash 4 was essentially the only game I played from late 2014 to mid-2016, and I loved every minute of it. During this time, I stumbled across a copy of Smash 64 and bought it. I didn't play too much of it, but I can now say that Smash Bros. Is the only complete franchise in my collection. But eventually, I kind of stopped playing all the time, and my passion died down for various reasons, and no, Bayonetta's release was not one of those reasons. I hit some major confidence issues, and I was taking the game extremely seriously. I played so much against computers that bad habits were ingrained in my head, and I'd lose frequently against real opponents. I joined Smash Ladder near the end of my Smash 4 career and was stuck in Bronze, stuck in that weird skill gap where I was far better than any casual player, but not nearly as good as any competitive player. I'd become an angry, self-loathing teenager who for the first time ever wasn't able to control my emotions. I'd encountered for the very first time my fatal flaw, which would plague me for years to come. My obscenely high expectations for myself leading to deeply rooted frustrations, and my inability to fail gracefully. I decided to take a break from the game, but in that break, around June of 2016, I discovered League of Legends and got heavily invested in learning the game. I never really went back to Smash Bros. The same way as I had played it before, but the good memories of the rare times where I'd been fortunate enough to get 4 to 8 of my friends together to play, and of all the years of joy I had, overpowered the bad memories. I still look at it very fondly. The arrival of Smash Ultimate reignited that spark again, however, and nowadays I'm a much better person in regards to competition. In fact, it was Ultimate's imminent release that led to me playing Subspace Emissary on stream last September. Leading up to Ultimate, I'd already planned to give myself a fresh start with Smash, and though I don't play Ultimate as often as I played 4 back in high school, I'm back to playing it semi-regularly with competitively minded friends. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We need to backtrack a bit on my Smash journey if we're focusing on the stream adventures. After all, Subspace Emissary and World of Light were stepping stones back to one of my favorite games of all time. Were they quality stepping stones, though? Or did they turn to rubble as soon as I stepped off of them? let's start with the Subspace Emissary since I played that one first. I'm going to rush through the general Brawl complaints as quickly as I can. Yes, going back to Brawl after years of Smash 4 was incredibly jarring. The game feels sluggish and the odd time I tripped was extremely annoying. Ike was already not a great character in Smash 4, settling in the meta about E tier, I believe, but he feels so bad to play in Brawl comparatively since he's slower in engine and in frame data. But I'm not playing competitively in this case. Sure, Brawl is a terrible competitive Smash Bros. Game, but for casual modes, including its adventures, it's still Smash Bros. It's completely fine, and I did grow accustomed to the Subspace gameplay within a week, even if I couldn't really get the hang of the more traditional Smash battles throughout the story. In terms of presentation, Brawl's soundtrack, like most Smash games, is known to be legendary, and I do like the art style. It hasn't aged greatly, but it's definitely distinct and works well in my opinion. The Subspace Emissary's story isn't deep. The characters all interact wordlessly through cutscenes, and you can't look too deeply into it, but it's still a fun adventure. Sure, characters come out of literally nowhere all the time, but the game doesn't need much for its premise. There are some jerks planting bombs throughout the various worlds and basically deleting them, sending them to subspace. Since our Nintendo All-Star roster doesn't want their worlds to go boom, they all come together to stop the subspace menace, even working with their mortal enemies when needed for the greater good. There's not too much here, but the role of some characters like King Dedede and Rob give you enough neat moments that make the plot completely serviceable and fun. Also, the cutscenes are great, of course. The Subspace Emissary is a completely different beast on intense difficulty, compared to when I played it in my youth on medium. All you need to do is make it from point A to point B in each level with the characters the level assigns you, dealing with minor platforming challenges, swarms of enemies, and the occasional boss fight and traditional style Smash battle. Each enemy has a health bar, so you can't really launch them off screen unless there's a pit. You have to reduce them to 0 HP and they'll get launched right away. But that's easier said than done. When you crank up the difficulty settings, everything hits like a truck. Some enemies just don't flinch, and others are a nightmare to deal with if they're not dealt with right away. Each enemy, even the tougher ones, are very manageable one-on-one, but that situation is rare as the game progresses. When you're taking upwards of 30% damage from a single attack and your shield is made of paper against such powerful attacks, and on top of that, the game floods you with high-power enemies that might cover up each other's weaknesses, it's not hard to see that Subspace Emissary on Intense throws you into blatantly unfair situations. I remember on lower difficulties, you could easily make it through a level with a single character, maybe two. That's not possible on Intense unless you're a top 10 player. However, one design decision stands out as merciful. If you reach any door in the level, getting a game over and continuing will drop you back at that door with all of your stocks. This is great! The game becomes one of making the most of your stocks. You will get game overs, so all you need to do is get as far as possible to make progress with the stocks you have. Had the doors not been implemented in this way, Subspace Emissary's upper difficulties would have been a massive grind. But as it stands, I had a lot of fun. There's some bizarre elements in character representation in Subspace Emissary. It's pretty obvious why you can't play some characters in standard levels like Bowser, Ganondorf, Ness, and Luigi, since they're either major villains in the story or are trophies for most of the game. But there's some characters who are actively in your party that barely get any screen time. Ike is introduced late in one level, so you barely get any time with him, and then he only gets one more level beyond that. As an Ike main, that's the example that stood out the most to me, and I'm sure there's other examples like that. Honestly, I feel that Subspace shines the most in its final level, the Great Maze. You get to use any character you wish, exploring a massive world, fighting all the bosses again, and dealing with shadow versions of each character. It's a lot of fun, in my opinion. But I can't talk about the ending without mentioning boss fights. I thought the boss fights were very fair. There's a number of them that have some pretty abrupt and painful moves, but as soon as you learn their tells, you can fight them pretty reliably. Much like the standard enemies, they hit like a truck, so you have to make sure you use your stocks as resources again. For harder fights, if you have 4 lives, as long as they deal a quarter of their health before falling, you're on a good track. This is most evident with Taboo, the final boss. I expected him to be a nearly impossible challenge given my experience as a child, but I was pleasantly surprised. Like every other boss in the game, he's got his tells. Every move is dodgeable, and even though he's got some one-shot moves, you can handle them. You're given 6 stocks to kill Taboo, and that can be any character in the game, besides the 3 that are never introduced into Subspace. So you have the option to take your absolute best characters into it. Taboo is intense and memorable, and the exact right blend of punishingly difficult and fair to be a fantastic and fun conclusion to the Subspace Emissary. Alright, and now for World of Light. I'll start by going over some brief Smash Ultimate details, but this shouldn't take too long because I'm just going to be gushing over everything if I don't stop myself. The visuals are gorgeous in this game, the soundtrack is phenomenal, with the main theme and Lifelight being arguably the best theme in the series. The game engine feels amazing, a definite step up from Smash 4, and best of all, Ike is good in this game! There's no contest. Smash Ultimate is in my opinion the best Smash game yet, and I think we can all agree, no matter our Smash preferences, that is the best post-Melee game. As for World of Light itself, in terms of narrative, it's much lighter than the Subspace Emissary. Galeem, our newest cosmic entity, is threatening the Smash universe, capturing all fighters except for Kirby as he envelops the world in light. If you've come here for the same character interactions and cutscenes or for Smash-style platforming like in Subspace Emissary, I'm sorry to report you're in the wrong place. World of Light has very little in common with Brawl's adventure. The adventure revolves around the Spirit Battle system. Spirit battles are somewhat like event matches from previous games. Spirits are scattered around the world map, which you must traverse in any manner you please to reach Galeem. Clearing a spirit battle will add that spirit to your team. You can level up primary spirits to make them stronger, and choose proper support spirits to augment your character or to counter the specific challenges for the battle ahead. The spirit system was alright in my opinion, but there were some really frustrating elements with it. For one, it's very numbers dependent, like an RPG. If your spirit team doesn't have enough power, you'll do less damage and knockback, and take more yourself. The harder spirit battles become a massive grind before you get a powerful team. In the same vein, if your team is strong, then the weaker spirit battles become a joke, as your F-tilt, for example, can do upwards of 50%. Furthermore, there's some unfair situations in World of Light, just as there was in Subspace Emissary. But you're only given one stock for a battle. There's a lot of high-power fights where you must 1v4, which get fairly difficult and infuriating since you can't sacrifice a stock and use your next character to finish it up. I feel like for World of Light, it's far easier to talk about the bad than the good for some reason. Don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun playing through this adventure. Almost every spirit fight was exceptionally creative and actually represented their characters super well. I got a huge laugh out of a lot of the fights from franchises I'm most familiar with. Going into each fight, you can actually strategize a bit. Which fighter do you use? You can choose any fighter from your currently unlocked roster for any fight, making it less restrictive than Subspace Emissary. Honestly, I wish I'd had Ike available sooner, but you unlock him super late into the adventure, and I can understand other players with mains in the same boat would feel the same. At the very least, I got my secondary Wii Fit trainer much earlier. Then there's the other question. Which spirits do you use? The purpose of some spirits is just to invalidate a condition imposed on you during a fight, and some of those conditions are punishing enough that you kinda need the spirit for the fight. Either that or a tremendous amount of skill. In the end, I had about 3 primary spirits I cycled out for type advantages, and a pool of about 10 support spirits I used, 3 of which were my general purpose ones for every fight. This was a little underwhelming, but I still maintain that there's some strategic variety you can employ in this system, which I enjoyed. My advice to everyone playing World of Light, though, please don't do what I did and bang your head against a brick wall. If you're having trouble with a fight, try a new fighter or a new set of spirits, or just come back later when you have stronger spirits. It'll do you good in the long run. You're supposed to try to counter specific fights. Now let's talk boss fights. I can almost say the exact same thing for these bosses as I could in Subspace Emissary. All very fair, even though they do a lot of damage from playing on hard, because they all have tells for their moves. These fights are harder than Subspace's, though, on account of the one-stock restriction, so be prepared to be tested. As for the finale, spoiler alert, by the way, in case it wasn't obvious enough. Holy shit, it's so good! I had the pleasure of experiencing the true ending first, thanks to my 100% run, and my god, it is incredible! 3 stocks, just like in Subspace, and you can pick your best 3 characters on the roster. You get to play as Master Hand, leading into a high-intensity platforming section and a grueling boss rush, all 6 previous map bosses on 3 stocks. And after that, Galeem and Darkon, both at the same time, in a 3-way battle as the bosses. My heart was pumping for the entire duration of this conclusion, and it's easily the best part of any Smash adventure. It took the best parts of World of Light and brought back the best gameplay aspects of the Subspace Emissary into one absolutely gorgeous conclusion. So would I recommend you play through the Smash Adventure modes? Absolutely. Both are tons of fun and a great challenge. Subspace Emissary is designed so even if you spend ages dealing with legitimately unfair scenarios, you can still progress beyond them, so losing 3 stocks isn't the end of the world if you can make that 4th last until the next door. World of Light isn't designed in such a way, but it extends the core Smash Ultimate gameplay into a way that makes it feel very natural as a single-player experience. However, please take note, unless you feel you're very good at Smash Bros., don't play on Intense or Hard in Brawl and Ultimate respectively. On these difficulties, you have to perform at a fairly high level to succeed, so I don't think a casual fan who might not have all these skills will have nearly as much fun. I'm going to guess that the more moderate difficulties might be a good time to simply experience the adventure with a minor challenge, but of course, don't let me tell you how to play if you're interested in giving it a shot. After I finished the Subspace Emissary, I was able to get a few friends over to play Smash Wii U, and we had a fantastic day of 1v1s, team battles, and of course, 4-player full item free-for-alls. And I hadn't had that much fun in ages. Now that I've also finished with World of Light, Smash has returned to my life in such a positive way, and I couldn't be happier about that. Thank you all for watching this video. It means a lot to me. If you were around during my Smash streams, I hope you had a great time experiencing these challenges with me. If this is the first you've seen of my content, you can find me at twitch.tv/turkeysub23. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and take care.